Thanks for stopping by to see the pros and cons of living in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm your realtor friend Kristen, and today we're talking about the top 5 pros and cons of living in the Queen City. Check it out. Before we get started, let me tell you about why Charlotte is called the Queen City. When the city was founded in 1768, King George III was in power, and his wife was Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly, but in any case, our city was named after her and nicknamed the Queen City. And in case you didn't notice, our county, Mecklenburg, also received its name from this same queen. So now you know. I'm going to start with the cons so we can get those out of the way. Number 1 is traffic. I feel like traffic makes this list on every pros and cons video of any town ever, but the fact is humans don't like to sit around in traffic, so if you have any at all, it's going to make this list. Here in Charlotte, we have a couple problematic areas. One is 74, which is far too narrow for the growth that we're experiencing, and 485, which gets pretty congested during morning and evening rush hours. I moved here from a small town, so the traffic here is far more intense than I was used to. But I've also spoken with people from places like Atlanta who think the traffic here is very pleasant. So, like anything else, it's pretty much relative to what you're used to. Number 2 is that Charlotte is not the beach. That one might seem pretty obvious. I mean, you just have to look at a map, right? But the fact is, a lot of people who don't live in coastal states might just look at these coastal states as being near the beach. To get from the western edge of North Carolina all the way to the beach could take several hours. Now, Charlotte is far from on the western edge, but it still takes about 3.5 hours to get to the closest beach. Number 3 is weather. Okay, I know most of you are thinking, what do they have to complain about the weather? But truth be told, humans like to find ways to complain about the weather. So although our winters are extremely mild, sometimes with no snow at all, our July and August can be pretty brutal with the heat and humidity. A lot of people like to spend their summers indoors just to escape these. Now, my family spent lots of time this summer at the neighborhood pool and at Carowinds, so don't let the heat hold you back from experiencing all that Charlotte has to offer. Just get those cooling cloths and some personal fans and make sure that you drink plenty of water so you don't get dehydrated. One other thing about the weather, allergies. Now, I don't personally experience seasonal allergies, but many people who move here have experienced a worsening of their seasonal allergies, especially in the spring and early summer. The fact is, a lot of people joke that the pollen is like our version of snow, and it's not much of a stretch. If you leave your windows down during the spring, you might come in to find a thin layer of green covering all of your interior surfaces. My middle child is especially sensitive to this. He spends lots of time sneezing in the spring and early summer. If you're a positive person, you might want to know that the silver lining to this is there's lots of green here in Charlotte. For being a big city, we do have a lot of green space, which is really nice. Number 4 is that Charlotte is a driving city. What I mean by this is that unless you live in Uptown, then you are most likely going to have to drive to where you need to be. As you get further and further away from Uptown, things get more and more spread out. So it's completely normal to have to get in the car and drive 20, even 40 minutes to where you need to go. If you're used to living in a place where everything is right outside your door, this could be a huge change. Number 5, it can get lonely. That might sound crazy because Charlotte is a big city, but hear me out. If you're not proactive about getting plugged into small groups, you can actually start to feel like you're living in your own little bubble. It can feel like you're just a small fish in a big pond if you're not actively engaging in meeting people. That being said, if you're willing to put in a little bit of work on the front end, you can meet some of the most amazing people. One way that you can meet people here in Charlotte is downloading the app Meetup, which helps you get plugged in through different interests and get into small groups that might go on outings or even just have like little clubs online. If you're into the social media scene, you can join any of the countless Facebook groups or Nextdoor groups that might have similar interests too. Besides that, if you live in a subdivision, or what people call it here, a neighborhood, join the social committee or even just participate in the activities they plan. No matter what you're interested in, you can find a group that shares those interests. And if you can't find one, just create one. I guarantee if you put a little bit of work on the front end, you can find your people here in the Queen City. Now that we got the cons out of the way, let's talk about the pros of living in Charlotte, North Carolina. There are lots of great reasons to move here. I'm just going to give you my top 5. Before we jump in, down in the description below, you'll find my Charlotte Relocation Guide. This is a free download to help you with your move to Charlotte. And I would love to answer your questions. If you have any questions at all about the city, please give me a call. My number is on the screen. Number 1 is weather. Now, I know I already mentioned this as a con, but I would be crazy not to mention it here too. We moved here from Northeast Ohio, and one of the reasons we moved here was because of all of the snow and cold. Many people experience months of cold and snow, and although it can be nice to see sometimes, it is no fun to shovel and drive in. And don't get me started on that nasty gray slush that hangs out on the roads and sidewalks. Number 2 is diversity. Charlotte is growing and fast. Over 120 people move to Charlotte every day, so native Charlotteans are kind of a rare sighting. Being a transplant city means there are people here from everywhere, and it kind of makes us a melting pot of cultures and histories. Being a transplant myself, this experience has given me a much more global perspective, and I think it's doing the same for my kids. Number 3 is sports. Charlotte is home to teams from nearly every level, from the Charlotte Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, the Charlotte Knights, NASCAR, the Charlotte Checkers, Charlotte FC, Charlotte Independence, and the Charlotte Hounds. If you are a sports lover, there is absolutely no better place to be than Charlotte, North Carolina. Going to games is such a fun experience, and tickets are not that expensive. Be sure to check the links in the description below to see the websites for these teams, to see their schedules and ticket prices. Number 4 is location. Okay, so Charlotte isn't the beach. But one of my favorite things about Charlotte is that we are less than 4 hours away from tons of amazing destinations. You can travel to the mountains and visit Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, or Asheville. You can head to Wrightsville Beach, Oak Island, Myrtle Beach, or Charleston's Foley Beach, just to name a few. Besides the obvious, you can also take day trips to Lake Norman, Lake Lure, Uwharrie National Forest, Atlanta, Greenville. You can find destinations for snow tubing, whitewater rafting, waterfalls, Christmastown, zoos, and camping. And perhaps topping my current list is Carowinds. This 407-acre amusement park straddles the North Carolina-South Carolina border and includes a water park. If you haven't been to Carowinds, I highly recommend it. My family had season passes this year and we went a lot. For me, it was the highlight of the summer. Number 5 is cost of living and jobs. Charlotte's cost of living did increase over the past year, mainly due to transportation, food, and housing. But Charlotte's cost of living is still much more affordable than a lot of other major cities. The median home cost for a home in Charlotte is $303,465, and the average income for a Charlotte resident is $31,844 per year. The median household income is $53,274, which is almost exactly the same as the national average. However, national studies suggest that in order for someone to live comfortably in Charlotte, the household income should be over $80,070 for homeowners and $82,999 for renters. Charlotte has great paying jobs in the fields of technology, healthcare, banking, and air travel, and Charlotte is home to 8 companies on the 2021 Fortune 500 list. Well, there you have it. my top 5 pros and cons for living in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you live here, tell me in the comments below your pros and cons. And if you don't live here, tell me in the comments what's holding you back. Don't forget to check out my relocation guide and all the helpful links down in the description below. Thanks for watching today. I hope I taught you something. Bye!